Hi guys. So this is a video to talk through the annotated work cited that you will be working on this week. So this is an assignment that you will probably have to do in college. It's something that I've had to do in undergrad and in grad school. It's kind of a typical assignment to force you to really think about the validity of your sources. Lucky for you, on your note-taking guide, I already asked you all of the questions that you'll be putting in your annotations. So this is just going to be really you fleshing out your annotations. Okay. But here's the instructions. So according to Cornell University, an annotated bibliography is a list of citations to your sources. Each citation is followed by a brief, usually about 150 words, evaluative paragraph. So that's the annotation. The purpose of the annotation is to inform the reader of the relevance, accuracy, and quality of the sources cited. So all those questions about the balance and how current is it, and who's the author, and why should we listen to them, that's all the stuff that's going to go in your annotation. Obviously, the emphasis is on finding accurate and reliable sources and providing a clear summary and evaluation for each source. So basically, on a works cited page, you're going to have a citation, and then under it, you're going to have the annotation. And the annotation should be pretty short, like I'm going to say 4 to 6 sentences. Um, if you're talking about a very long source, the annotation will have to be longer because you have more to talk about. Okay. So requirements, you're doing an annotated bibliography with a minimum of 4 sources, as you know. These 4 sources you select should be your best 4. So you've looked at more than that, right? You did your pre-research and you looked at least 5 sources, and you probably looked at more during your pre-research and your research week. So hopefully right now you really have it down to the best 4 sources. You might have more. I said between 4 and 6. Some of you have reached out and said you have more than 6. So if that applies to you as well, let me know. That way we can, I can help you figure out whether you need more than 6. All right. Your works cited must contain 4 annotations. So that means if you have more than 4 sources, you still only need to do 4 annotations. And you'll see that in the samples. So I'll click that right now and show you. So these are some samples from last year. I just separated them from the paper. So this person has the source by Halpert. This source, how does social media alter our perception? Representation, social media versus reality, Thomas, and then women in the media. So this person has 6 sources, and they only did 5 annotations. Last year they had to do 5. And so this last one's here. It's still cited on the work cited, but it doesn't have the long paragraph after it. Okay, so that's the difference. All of your sources need to be in your work cited, right? That is a huge requirement. We're going to keep talking about that. But for the annotations, you only need 4. Here's just a note. Remember that you must use each of your sources at least once during your writing. So if something's in your like in your works cited, it has to also be in your paper. If it's not in your paper, you have to get rid of it from your works cited because otherwise your reader will be really confused. If something's in your paper, it has to be in your works cited, so the reader can find out where you got that information from. So basically, the works cited needs to match the paper. Anything that's cited in your paper needs to be in your works cited, right? Um, Caution, if you take something directly from a source but don't credit it, you're plagiarizing. So if you're pulling any ideas from I mean, you can, cite more than 6 if you want to. You just have to make sure you're actually citing it, right? You're not just pulling stuff randomly from online sources. Some quick due dates. If you want feedback, so the draft is going to be due on Monday. This is your work for this week. Your final annotated bibliography will be attached to your final paper, which is due exam week, basically. This is the last thing we're doing. So if you want feedback from me, this is the work for this week. Obviously, I'm giving you lots of suggestions for when you should do what. So aim for Monday. Obviously, Monday will be a makeup day, so you'll have, time and money to finish it if you need to. All right, steps. Find your 4 sources. You've already done that. Your sources should be reliable and valid. You've probably already checked that since you filled out the note-taking guide. And then each of your annotations should be a paragraph that covers these 4 questions. These 4 questions, subject coverage, authorship, currency, and balance, should look familiar because they're the same questions you answered on the note-taking guide, although you might not have written as much as you will for the annotation. If you cannot identify any of this above stuff, it probably isn't a reliable source and you should find a new one. So this is what this is going to look like. This is an example. This is kind of old. It's from 2014. I wrote this in 2014. I haven't updated it. But quick example. All right. So you have, first of all, this is the actual citation. So you'll be working on that this week as well. And then you have the paragraph. So it says, Lionheart relies on the most recent economic research to argue that college is worth the cost, giving this work a pointed but invaluable perspective. So that's the subject coverage. Lionheart is the managing editor of a New York Times website covering economics and a Pulitzer Prize winning journalist for his coverage of economic issues in 2011. Although not an expert in education, Lionheart clearly can be cited for his considerable work in economics, a key part of my topic. So this is the authorship section that tells you that, this author is reliable. I can trust what he's saying. The article was published only in 2014, which gives it currency required for the subject. That's because I accessed this in 2014. If I were using the same article now in 2020, I'd have to, it might not be current anymore, right? And so I'd have to update that. Mr. Lionheart clearly falls on one side of the debate, even stating that, quote, from almost any individual's perspective, college is a no-brainer. While he does not favor balance in his coverage, he definitely has evidence to support his thoughts. So that's the bias or balance part. So yes, he has a bias, but he's using evidence to back it up, so I feel like I can still use it. Then the last sentence is just that. Therefore, this article is credible and useful for research on this topic. And that just lets my reader know, yes, I've thought it through, it is credible. Here's the color key if that helps. All right, so those are the instructions. I'm going to make another video that shows me working through the guide with one of my sources as well. All right, let me know if you have questions, guys.